Hello and welcome back to the DrEnderPickles show. Today I have Joey Coconut. Joey,
Hello
introduce
there.
yourself.
Hi,
Uh,
I'm Joey Coconut. It's me, my man.
all right, so I'm just gonna hop right into questions. How did you find 2B2C in the first place?
So it was probably late 2014, early 2015. A little fuzzy on the date at this point. But a good friend of mine, his name was what was this? His in-game name was Arena Warlord. He'd been there for maybe a year or so. He brought me on there, and I never even met up with him, to be perfectly honest. I just kept getting killed in spawn. It wasn't a very difficult place to get out of at that point, but there was some confusion for my name because Joey Coconut. Many people assumed I was an alt of Coconut Fours because there's not a lot of coconut names out there. So I
Yeah,
was
the
getting
fake
quite
coconut.
relentlessly hunted. What was that?
Yeah, the fake coconut.
Yeah, because I hopped in right in the middle of that, and they just assumed that I was him or something. I was much younger at that point, so I had a much thinner skin. And it's kind of scared me off.
Yeah, exactly. Because yeah, I remember like when I was back in 2014, like when I was playing, I was kind of like the hot topic of different memes at the time, like big player and stuff like that. So to me back then, it was like a personal offense, but looking back on it now, it's hilarious.
It was a much closer knit community too. I find, even though with all the banting and shit, I found everyone knew each other still. It's like a small New England town, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a feeling that we're never going to get back, especially now. But
Oh, absolutely not.
it's
You,
so
you
it's so
just
crazy remembering those times and like the people that.
you lose a lot with the scale.
Yeah, it just becomes so much bigger, and that means that us as the player becomes so much smaller.
Exactly, you become a smaller part of a bigger pie. I mean, all that stuff is relative, of course, but you matter less and less. Generally
Exactly.
speaking, of course.
And it destroys the fun of it too because there's something exciting about hey, there's a chance I can make a name for myself because there's not too many people on here, and you can do anything. But when there's so many people, it's almost impossible.
Oh, exactly. Like the thing that I find, and that I've really found, especially from 2B2T, is that I just like small servers. Like most of the stuff I do now, which I don't play anywhere near as much as I used to, is just small servers, 10, 15 people, because that's where I feel that I fit.
Exactly, and I mean it's weird to say it, but 2B2T in a way was such a welcoming community for how like toxic it was. Like
Oh, exactly. There was
it's
that.
terrible people, but I mean I feel like I was welcome there. It's like I felt like I
Because
was a
I
part of
find
that.
the original community was much more just, fuck it, just a bunch of autistic retards, shunned from most normal circles. So as much as you might hate the other ones, they still have more in common with you than most other people. So you just naturally become accepting of them.
Yeah, and it's like the even the worst people are usually the funniest ones and like the best people to be around. So
Oh, exactly. Like I can tell you, I've based with some interesting people.
yeah, yeah, you have.
Some very interesting people. I mean, let's
I've
see.
seen some of the names. I was doing a little bit of research today, and some of the people. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I was basing with slapping bad kids for a while. He was always oodles of fun. He always had very funny things to say. Jared was usually quite fun as well. I mean,
Yeah,
not too much
he's a
needs to be
wild
said.
card.
He's
You know.
iconic, I suppose, is the way to
Yeah,
put it. He's his own personality. Oh,
yeah,
but no,
for
there
sure.
was some quite interesting people throughout there. Um, and I mean, that all started out. I hopped back in uh, late 2016. It was sometime after June 1st, obviously, because the server was flooded. I don't quite remember the date. I want to say it was sometime in September, anyway. And yeah, I set up in. I was looking for, actually, because where I used to be based when I was on, it was this place like maybe 8K out. It was called the Melon Wall, and I was trying to find that. Hop to the portal. Lo and behold, oh, it's actually Tugboat Base. So I set up there for a good couple weeks, just feeding people and shit, because I figured, hell, maybe I'll get a little group going or something, and I did to some extent. But they all left because it's a shitty place. Why would you want to be here, right? But I met Slapping Bad Kids during that time, and I ended up basing with him in a bunch of his later projects as a result of that.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about Tugboat Base because I've seen some pictures of it and it looks really sweet. And I don't know much about it because there's so many bases on 2v2T.
Oh, there's quite a lot. To be honest, I don't know much of the actually what happened there before I got there. But I can tell you when I got there, there was the tugboat, a couple of the little castles that were dotting the area, and some farms. And I just spent the time there really just building up farms because I wanted to get out far, and you need food and resources for that. So it was really just a big farming area. I mean, I had the entire area covered up with melons at one point, probably a good 200 by 200 area. I mean, it was all cleared out and flattened with melons. And I mean, it's not
Exactly,
really.
because melons are the absolute essential form of sustenance. So
Oh, absolutely, man. Melons all the way. But yeah, I did that for quite a while. But it gets boring just shitting out autistic projects. Solo on the tech tree. I mean, growing food's very easy. I mean, hell, man, we're as a human species. We discovered agriculture thousands of years ago. And I mean, how far have we come since then? It's the same thing in a shitty internet Lego game. It's very very low.
exactly, it's like I mean you can't even, especially with the game, it's like you can't even discover new things. You're just using the same thing over and over. So there's really no way to progress in that sense. But it is kind of
Yeah.
funny how we idolize like simple things like that on the server. Just like we take such a small thing and turn it into something huge.
Yeah, it's especially interesting when compared against like, oh, you can, if you're worth your salt in any way, you're gonna find dupe stashes or just free shit lying around. I mean, hell, they just hand it out like candy these days. But you can have anything you want, but still, melons are idolized so much, and it's kind of funny, I suppose. But it shows just how pointless all the internet Lego shit really is.
So you were saying you're at Tugboat Base, right? You're helping out the
Yeah.
other players. So where do you go after that?
After that, I went with this one group of people, really insignificant people. I don't think any of them stayed very long, but anyways, wasted a couple weeks with that, and then Slapping Bad Kids. Actually, for that matter, many of you guys probably know him as Autism Bot. He changed his name when he got more significant, but he invited me to his base. It was Invictus 2. The first one didn't last very long, so we just called that one Invictus anyway. But over there, I wasn't there terribly long before that was griefed. But I got there right as they were griefing La Rosa base. We ended up meeting up with Cartman as a result of that, and then I'll get back to that later. But that was the start of some better things. But so I went to Invictus, and I was building this castle. Actually, I ended up building it at Block Game Mecca. But I designed it with a couple friends the summer before, so I've been wanting to build it somewhere ever since, and I just figured that was the chance. Now the base didn't last very long. It was the 2016 vibe going on. You invite everybody you possibly can and hope it works out, and it didn't. But
Yeah,
things
that's
fall apart.
typically how it goes. Yeah, especially in 2016 because I mean the more people you want to have at a base, and it's people you don't know because they're all new. So
Yeah, and I found we learned a lot of valuable lessons from that. That it's not just about numbers. There's so much more than that. You got to get the right numbers, the right people. But so we moved on then to another minor base. It was Obliviscaris. That didn't last very long either. Same problem. Invited the wrong people. Then, so we had met up with Cartman because a bunch of my base mates griefed his base. and he invited us to this. I don't know. I don't think we ever actually named the base, to be honest. But it was called the 2B2T Creative Mode Project, and yeah, Cartman invited everybody. I have nothing against the guy. He's a very, very nice person. But shit, bro, he invited probably 30, 35 people to that place. So naturally, it imploded. I believe
Yeah, it's like
Parthicus
dead from
griefed
the
that one.
start.
Yeah. But yeah, I figured it was probably going to be dead when he was building fucking Jesus out of beacons on the Axis. I mean, like, how long could that shit last when there's something that big so close showing where you are? But
But
I went
that's
inactive
part of
for a
that's
period
part of the
then.
thrill. That's part of the thrill, though. I guess just like setting stuff up like that and knowing you're going to get griefed. Because I mean,
Oh, exactly.
every base is going to get griefed inevitably. So
It's the whole sandcastle mentality, and that's
yes,
I used to quite like building sandcastles as a kid, so it's kind of a return to that, and that's always nice. Reminisce a little bit, I suppose.
yeah.
Only
If
the
you
waves are
build
now just autistic children.
if you build with the intent to keep something around forever, you're just going to be constantly disappointed, and you're never going to have fun because it's always going to get destroyed no matter what. I mean, it might take 8 years or it might take a week, but one way or another,
Exactly.
it's going to go down.
I find you can apply that to life as well. I mean, I don't know about you or anybody listening, but immortality wouldn't suit me very well if it were to exist. I mean, what do? You run out of shit to do. Nothing really has any purpose anymore, as opposed to with your temporary lifespan. I find it makes something more beautiful. Like I grow a lot of flowers in real life, and I know I wouldn't appreciate them if they just were blooming 24/7 the entire year, but they don't. Good things don't last forever, and I think that's an important part of that. I think that's what contributes to that mentality so much.
Exactly. Like people need a constant motivation to keep on, keeping interested in whatever they're interested in. So if it didn't blow up eventually, then
Yeah, it loses
it
a
would
lot
be
of the
boring.
purpose.
Yes. So you were saying that you were at Block Game Mecca, and that's from what I've heard and seen. Obviously, it's a huge base,
Yeah,
and I want to know some of the builds at Block Game Mecca. What were some of your favorites, and what were some of your, I don't want to say some of your least favorites because it'll throw some people under the bus. But like, what were some of the highlights of Block Game Mecca?
well, yeah, I'd say probably my favorite build was was the Hitler statue with the whole black sun around it. Actually, I did a lot of the work for the black sun itself. I mean, Hitler was built in I think 3 days. I mean, they just went to town on him. A bunch of the Australians over there. They just, oh my god, man, they just shot that thing out. That's
If I can
definitely my
remember in
favorite.
editing, I'll put a picture on the screen. But yeah,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
crazy.
Like, oh, Hitler was just. I wish he was in the center of the base, though. He was on the outside because he was kind of an afterthought. But oh, that was. I think that would have been a beautiful centerpiece for it. Besides that, though, I quite liked the castle that I started building at Invictus. I finally went and actually built it there and finished it up. It had been designed by me and some friends several years before. It took me a long time to actually build it somewhere. So there was a certain sense of achievement with that because, at least in my younger days playing Minecraft, it was quite a large build for me. I mean, compared to some of the shit at Block Game Mecca, it was pretty small. But, a lot of that stuff is relative anyway. But let's see, there was there was the Isis cube. That was pretty beautiful. So that was just like it was a little pyramid, and on the top was a cube of ISIS flags. Uh, and they had a Cellular Swardom, the ISIS song, and note blocks in there, and I quite liked that as well.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I forgot you're a musician with the note blocks. Kind of
I
known
love note blocks.
for making music in the game with note blocks. which
Those
I've
ones
always thought was kind of
themselves,
interesting. I've seen plenty of videos from Spawn of stuff
yeah.
like that getting set up. So how do you do that?
Well, I don't want to take credit where it's not mine though. I didn't make that one specifically. That was the Cold One JC. That was him. Bad with names, man. Holy shit. But it started out. I'm a musician in real life. It's a hobby of mine. I play the trumpet, and I quite enjoy it. Sometimes I'd even play it in our bass voice chats. Actually, it was a fun time. But from learning about music, I always thought I'd like to combine things that I like. So why not do music and Minecraft together, right? So I really didn't do too much note blocking at Block Mecca. The only project that comes to mind was for Christmas Christmas of 2017. We had a whole Secret Santa thing. We called it Secret Satan, of course, because so funny. 2B2T, man. And I put a Christmas tree under our Christmas tree. And it was an annoying project because note blocks are a very tedious thing I find sometimes, especially in the low tick environment, because sometimes you'll just click it and it just won't register.
Exactly, like Redstone in general on the server is such a hassle.
Oh, and that's
Just
like
yeah,
for our sorting system in the base, for instance, that thing was always breaking. And I mean, it was very well built too, but there was just so much redstone going on that some of the plugins would really fuck with it sometimes. Because I mean, you dump in all your items, it unload all the shulker boxes, it sort them all out, then load it back into shulker boxes and sort those shulker boxes. I mean, it's a lot of redstoning going on. And then to make that even worse, we had our gold farm stacked on top of that. So if you looked at our base center, the server TPS would, or I should say, if you loaded that area, the server TPS would noticeably drop. Actually,
that's
it was just a
insane.
very, very active area.
Yeah, we need to.
Oh, and it was even
I need
worse.
to get
We
you to
had
be
a
on the live shows. Get you to be like the Roots. You know, on is it Jimmy Kimmel or is it like I can't remember what talk show it is. Get you to be like our band. Do our closing and opening numbers.
whatever makes you happy, man. Hey, but it was even worse though because we had this other building. This was when all that map shit was going on. When people kept going over the map limit and resetting all of them. We were going to do that and put them all in item frames in one spot. Thing is, we set down the item frames and realized that a lot of our computers were kind of crappy, and we just wouldn't be able to play over there. Like if you loaded those chunks, shit would hit the fan. So we stopped with that. But yeah, that was another thing. See, Block Game Mecha really fucked up the server a lot, but like in non-obvious ways. They wouldn't. The average player wouldn't assume like, oh, there's a lag machine. But no, we dropped the TPS like 4 or 5 points depending on where we were.
Because it's such a huge base too. It was just like
Oh, it was giant, and I
crazy
mean,
in scale.
you know, I don't mean to deceive anyone. A very lot of it was schematiced in. I wasn't terribly guilty of that, but I did too. Um, you know, there was a lot of drama about that, and I never could quite understand it because we just really were building it for us. But nonetheless,
Exactly.
though,
Like I mean,
it's worth
not every
addressing.
base can be like crazy original builds. Like there can't always be originality, and that just goes
I
for
think
everything.
originality
Like
is a very good thing,
there
but
is no such thing really as originality if you really think about it. But like
to some
if I
extent,
want to
maybe.
put SpongeBob's pineapple at my base, I should feel the right to do that, even if it is a schematica. You know, it's like not everything should be completely original.
To some extent, absolutely. But what it also comes down to is we had a very lot of people who are in the know at my base. For instance, let's see. We'll go down to the list. We'll go in the group chat. Fuck it. We got.
Ooh,
Let's see. I don't think any of them left. We had GV Newman. We had Mothra. We had Burke. He just kind of went away like mid bass. I hope he's still alive. Honestly, he might be dead, man. We had
That's crazy to think
Vertrix.
about.
Yeah.
Just somebody just
Beazle
passing away,
Snort.
and you would never know
Mm,
ever.
hope he's okay.
If
Yellowstone
you're
Joe.
out there listening,
Yeah, bro.
please
Please be alive.
please be alive.
Frickin' Monoxide. Yeah, those were all the big wigs. There was a bunch of other people there, but I think those are the names that people would absolutely recognize. That. Besides that, though, there was Ganjmeister 420. Still my favorite name, man. Holy shit. We had Drathader, um, Sputnik, Maka, P529, Todorak, the Cold One JC, and Autism Bot. And there was a couple minor people that came and went, but they didn't do anything. Like Jared stopped by for a little bit, actually, as well. That's worth mentioning. He didn't blow us up. He's a nice guy.
Yeah,
If you're hearing this,
for
Jared,
once,
thank you for not
once
fucking us in the ass.
he didn't grief a base for once. I'm sure it was so tempting to.
No, it's the funny thing about all of this, though, is Jared had a location, did nothing. Then we invite Beardler to the base. At this point, he was still very much viewed as a trusted member of the community. The guy with the fucking sterling clean reputation's the one that fucks us.
Yeah, he's the one that like shills out, which is crazy.
I mean, I hate to quote a show right now, but I remember this line from The Walking Dead actually really comes to mind, and it was that someone approaches you and they don't have a gun on you. There's something wrong here, especially in a place like this where everyone wants to fuck you. The person that doesn't want to is probably the one that's going to the most.
The people with the best intentions are always the ones that will screw you over in the end. And it's crazy how he went from a crystal clean reputation to nobody trusts him in the matter of what, a day. Like, it's insane. Just the whole scandal around that's insane. Like, what
there was
what
so much
insight
shit
do you
there.
have on that? Because I mean, there's a Reddit post. Obviously, like there's so much like detail.
There's a bunch of them. Shit hit the fan when that happened.
What was your perspective of it? Like, how did it all go down on your end?
I mean, my perspective, to be honest, I didn't believe it was him for quite some time, and honestly, so we call it affectionately the Bomecan witch trials because he was at the Bodecan and Block A Mecca and both went to shit. We figured, something's going on here, but I didn't really think it was him. And honestly, like, there was a lot of evidence pointing to him, but all of it was very, very circumstantial shit. Like, you look at someone in the wrong way, it could be other people potentially. So there was a decent bit of doubt. But then what happened was, Autism Bot and Mothra, they have their ways with stuff, and they had embedded NBT data into some assigns in the base. And when the World Download went to the museum, they opped themselves, and they were just going through stuff, and they found a chest in Block A Mecca that had something from. It turned out to be from the Bodecan, and that established a link that items were moved, and the only person that had gone or went in any recent time was Beardler.
Dang, that's some like top level. That's some top level investigation right there.
Yeah, those two, they did a lot of work with that. I mean, it was them, Yellowstone Joe, not Joan. He is a man, and myself. It took a lot of stuff. I mean, we caught so much flack when we accused him because he had a very good reputation. And I mean, to the credit of those that were defending him, yeah, looking at ourselves, it seemed pretty ridiculous to accuse someone like that of doing anything destructive. But I mean, when he had come to the base, even this was when he had his whole Builders Guild thing. He kicked a bunch of us out because we were friends with Jared. Which, I mean, that's not a very good intro to a base. We just opened up and trusted you to come here, and you're already doing that shit. I mean, it's not good. But I'm very curious to hear his perspective on this. Like, I'm not mad at him at all. Honestly, sandcastle mentality. Some wave's going to destroy your castle. You just don't know which one it is. But I don't know what his thoughts are about all that because it just it seemed almost out of
Yeah.
character, to be honest.
But I mean, when you think of the sandcastle mentality, I mean, you got to imagine there's a wave crashing into your sandcastle, but I mean, there's also kids on the beach stomping on your sandcastle, and that kind of seems like what Beardler did. He's that kid coming along, stomping on not only your sandcastle, but the
But
other
quite some other nice
sandcastle too.
ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
And
I've
I mean,
looked at the
do you
Bodecan
think?
somewhat through world downloads. It was a very, very lovely base.
Yeah. hmm It was also very nice, along with Block Game Mecca. Those were some of the best bases around that time. But I mean, do you guys think you ever would have figured out that Beardler was the one that griefed had it not been for the stuff in those chests?
Suspicions, but I mean, we wouldn't have proved it because before that, even I didn't fully think it was him. I mean, I did a bunch of Reddit posts in that time, even, but they were mostly fact-finding missions to see, like what else can I dig up here, and they came up mostly dry, just with quite a lot of debate and whatnot throughout the community. I mean, they were. I hate to say there's anything controversial, but I mean, shit, man, block game drama, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you guys had to be like on edge with everybody at the base because I mean, there's no telling who it was until you found
Oh
out.
yeah, because we had put a lot of time into this, and I should mention, the base had been around for a year and a half. A lot of us had burned out, so we were just, we weren't working as hard on the base anymore because, a year and a half. What do you do after that, right?
Yeah,
But so we were really on edge. We were like, okay, it's going to be one of the new people, and there was three people. There was him, Doctor Zombie, and no. I can't remember which ones they were. I think it was him, Totorak, and somebody else. Maybe it was Doctor Zombie. But so we knew it was one of those three. But the other two are very nice people. I have a great deal of respect for both of them. They've
yeah,
been
yeah.
nothing but kind to
I could
me.
never see Doctor leaking a base ever.
Oh, me neither. But the thing was, we couldn't. None of us could see any of those three leak in a base. So we were all very on edge. But we found out it was Beardler, and the dust settled on that. It was. I'd say it gave some closure, but honestly, it really doesn't matter in the whole scheme of things. It's still just a game.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
and
a
I
lot
mean,
of the
yeah, every
base was
castle
just
falls. It's just a different
yeah,
way.
a lot of the base was just us blowing off steam. Throughout our daily lives. You come home after work or school or whatever, and oh, you know what? I'm gonna crack open a beer and I'm gonna build a building today.
Exactly. Some men they let out that excess testosterone at the gym, and then some men come home and just do it in a block game. I mean,
Yeah,
to each their
it's
own. It's an
a dick
expression
measuring
of
contest, man.
exactly
I'm gonna build
just a
bigger and
different
better
form of it.
buildings. Now, yeah, again though, a lot of those buildings were not original creations, which it was interesting actually. A lot of us were out of the loop about other base mates if they were using schematics or not for their builds even. So when that Reddit post came out about all the schematica builds, I was completely caught off guard because I had no idea there was that much in the base. And I think
Dang.
a lot of the base mates were in similar situations.
But like it's not even a big thing to me, honestly. Like when I see a base and I hear that the schematica was used, it's not a big deal unless it's a base that unless they're claiming that they're original builds.
Eh, some did. I won't name names. I have a lot of respect for many of these people, but some absolutely did, and
It's I mean
I was not happy about that.
if you're gonna use it, just own it.
Hmm. There's a lot of trains of thought on that particular issue, but yeah,
Because it's a
it should have been done
schematica.
differently.
It's out there. People are gonna know. Like there's no hiding it really, unless it's like unless it's a schematica of something you make. I mean, no one's everyone's gonna know. one way or
Yeah,
another.
that's like a lot of my
Some
builds.
dude is gonna spend hours figuring it out.
Mhm. A lot of my builds were schematics that I had made prior and then transplanted there. But no, I did take some from other sources as well. And I mean, I never lied about them, but they're not all original. And I just, just felt the need to address that. I think a lot of people that hear about Mecha immediately assume that it's all schematica, but it's just not the truth.
So now that we've talked about Mecha for a little bit, you've had a lot of you made a lot of friends, allies
Oh, one other
at
thing I want to
Mecha.
mention though, actually,
Okay.
about Mecha. Um, During the chunker dupe, that again one of my base mates found with the crafting books and whatnot. I duped about 6 million bricks, and I made my brick biome.
Oh
Really need
yeah,
to mention that.
sweet. Get
That's
that little brick biome plug real quick.
Yep, got to get that brick biome plug in. I mean, shit, man, it was beautiful. I don't even think it got griefed. Actually, it might still be out there, to be honest.
I mean, but who would want to grief a brick biome? Like that's just
I don't know.
what's
Actually,
even the point?
I have no idea, but it's funny. The most comments I got about any of my builds was about the fucking brick biome. It's just some
God.
autistic waste of bricks. That's all it was. I was trying to use them up. And I really didn't get very far into it anyway. Yeah, it was me and Burke. That was the last project I saw him on, actually. And he just kind of went AWOL, I guess.
I mean, it makes more sense than a Valley of Furnaces, so or a crafting
There's some
table
odd ones
biome.
out there.
Yeah. So, you made a lot of friends at Block Game Mecca,
Mhm.
and you formed a group with a lot of them, including Autism Bot, the Short Bus Caliphate, if I'm getting that
Ah,
right.
yes. Short Bus Caliphate. Yep.
Very interesting. I love seeing groups like that on 2B2T that kind of make their own, I wouldn't say religion in a way, but sort of a code of conduct. I was
Yeah,
wondering if you
so
could enlighten the audience on some of the teachings of the Short Bus Caliphate.
so I like to study other religions other than my own. I like being informed about the world around me, and I find, the thoughts of other people are just fascinating. So one of the things I read about a decent bit was Islam. And I can't pretend to be fully fluent, but I knew enough to make some shit posts. You don't need to know much, but good humor, right? So I was just doing all these Islamic instructional shit posts for a while, and I believe it was Mothra was joking, "Hey, we should make a group out of this." A little fuzzy on the details. It might have been Autism Bot, but yeah. So we started this thing up, and the entire thing was a complete joke at first. I mean, it really was the entire time. But we later used it as a smokescreen for some of our activities, so that we could talk about them and like post about them and not worry about getting griefed as much. But yeah, so our code of conduct was it was very, very, very a lot of stress on suicide bombing. It was important. You
Yeah,
got to do
as
it,
it
man.
should be, as it should be.
Hmm. And I believe Mothra was developing a suicide bombing bot. Actually, I don't know how far he got in the project, but there was
God,
there was a decent
that
bit
would
of
have
talk
been
about it,
awesome. Oh my
and
gosh.
I believe he actually purchased the name Jihadi Bot just for that. But yeah, I don't think he ever completed it because the whole thing was the whole short bus caliphate was a shit post in the first place. But yeah, the next thing was building glorious monuments to Allah. We liked building. Most of the people in it were not builders, of course, because it was still a griefing group, to be honest. But nonetheless, there was some.
So,
Um,
something about Islam is so much funnier on 2B2T to me.
oh, exactly.
I
It's
guess it's because everybody's like crapping on it and like making fun of it in a weird way. I don't know. It's weird.
it's funny to shit on other things. Humor is a difficult thing to explain or just put your finger on in general.
Satire on 2B2T in general is just it's this warped, wicked, hilarious thing.
My favorite thing about satire on 2B2T, though, is you really can't tell where it ends a lot of the time. Some of the people are so odd that they do things someone else might do ironically, and they're doing it unironically. I just find that funny as shit that they might be for real.
Exactly. Like, you can never know whether someone's like truly meaning what they're saying and doing, or if it's completely for the sake of a joke, or if it's irony, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it
Then
can just be
around,
interpreted in so many different ways if you don't know.
oh, exactly. Then around this time, I'm a little fuzzy on the exact time, but Jared invited me to go base with him at Rhodes. And that was a pretty short-lived project as well. That's where I met Mothra, actually. So that's how he became a part of Block Game Mecca. I met him there, and I believe Autism Bot met him through something else. So we were like, oh, he seems cool. He's a shoo-in. But he later became one of the core base members. He did quite a lot of good stuff down there.
So okay, you you were at Block Game Mecca, you were Tugboat Base, all these very, very interesting bases. Where are you now on the
Um,
server?
well, I'm at our successor base to Block Game Mecca. The project has slowed down quite a lot right now. Really, since Block Game Mecca, because I mean, you put a year and a half into something, it's quite hard to top that and do it better in a more unique way. But in the wake of the fall of Mecca, most of the members of our group left or went and did their own things. I mean, we lost so many core members, besides all the ones that just became inactive along the way. But we lost the vast majority of the people that did like meaningful amounts of work there. But so it's just there's not as many people. So I became inactive following the fall of Mecca, at least on the server itself. I still do a lot of stuff in the external community, but I really don't build terribly much anymore because the queue's gotten quite annoying.
Oh,
At Mecca,
it's
we had
terrible. It's
yeah.
like so bad. Tried to
And I
get
mean,
in
I
the
don't
other
want to
day. It's
shell out
like
money
at
for that.
400. Like I'm not either. It's ridiculous. And
Mm,
the fact that the veteran queue isn't even a thing anymore is what's crazy to me. Like that was
it's
probably
odd to me.
the only silver lining of that period of the server because it made so
Yeah.
much sense. And now that it's not here, I feel like it's driving away so many players that were like pivotal to what the server being what it is.
Yeah. Also, I find a lot just move on as well.
Yeah,
But
because
in
the
Mecca,
core
it was
audience
nice
is
because we had
changing
a
so much
shared
more.
bank account. Yeah, that'd be nice. A shared base account that we all had access to because so many of us were in so many different time zones. It was feasible to use it. So that one account would basically be on all the time, and a lot of the building was done through that account after Veteran Queue was done away with.
Oh, so it's like a shared account that has priority, and it's just
Oh, exactly.
makes a
And
lot of sense.
it was such a convenient thing to have. It made so much of that stuff possible.
Because I mean, technically, you could load up your other account in the background, have that one going through queue while you're playing on the one that gets in what 10 minutes, less than that.
Mm, it was pretty quick. I don't remember the exact time, but it was not bad at all. But oh, that base account made it so much easier.
So, what are some of your opinions on the current state of 2B2T as it is, and where do you see it going from here?
Well, I think it's certainly changed a lot, but I mean that's the rule of the life of anything is change. And a group of people, if you subscribe to Hobbes at all, but he always would claim that a country is an organism, and I'd argue even a society in general is an organism. And as it goes through its life cycle, it's constantly changing. So maybe sometimes it's dropping in quality, raising in quality, whatever. But it's just going through its life cycle. And I think it's important to just gain perspective on that it's always going to change, whether it's for the better or not.
Yeah.
Um, I'd say I'm not really a fan of where it is now. But I think a lot of that also is that I've grown up. I was I was much younger when I started playing on the server. I mean, it's been about 6 years. I mean, if something like that. A lot changes in that time. About not just about the community itself, but about myself and the lens in which I view the world around me, including that community. But I don't like where it's gone or where it's going in general. I think it's become a lot less about just autistic projects blowing off steam and so much more about new fags fanboying on shit. And I really don't like that any financial stuff at all is going on in the server, either pertaining to the queue or to buying items. I think that's sacrilege to me. I hate spending money on a game beyond maybe buying the game itself. So that really grinds my gears quite a lot, that people would put money into something so ridiculous beyond maybe, I get it if you need to pay to keep the server running back in the day, but that's not necessary now. At
Exactly.
least for the amounts that they're making.
It's become so impersonal and just it's like the best example I could think of is if you bought this game and then it suddenly turns into a different game, like buying like Call of Duty and it turns into like Sonic the Hedgehog. Like it just completely just takes a 360, and it goes from being this like crazy like just whatever to like role playing factions with a ton of
Oh,
people
exactly.
who like just worship stuff that happened 3 years before they got
Oh
on
yeah,
here.
it's
Like
like
it's so stupid when you think about it.
it's really stupid. It's like go out and do your own shit. Don't fanboy about somebody else's stuff. And the roleplay just pisses me off so much. It's like, bro, it's a fucking block game. What are you, 5 years old?
Because I mean, it was there before, but it was more. I mean, like we were saying earlier, it was more satirical, but now it's just so serious, and it's hilarious how serious it is, and it's almost funny now because the people that never took it seriously in the first place are trashing on them, and it's so funny to see their reaction.
oh yeah, it's
Like
so
I don't
funny
want
to
to throw
me.
out any names here, but Imperium. It's so funny to see like people mess with them because they think they're so serious, and
Oh, I especially love it when
it's so
people mess
funny.
with the big groups because I mean they're the ones that are stopping change. They're the ones keeping the server where it is, and I don't like that. Just I like when the server's more dynamic. I like when societies and just groups in general change. And I think those large groups are just a major obstacle to that. They keep the status quo.
It definitely is a change. It's definitely something new, but I think it's only gonna evolve from here. And like what you were saying earlier about not necessarily the server changing per se, but like you as a person changing. Like I can relate to that a lot because I mean I joined the server when I was super young, and it was very very different compared to
Oh,
how it
me
is
too.
to how I see
I
it
mean,
now.
shit, man. When
Like
I
you don't know
joined,
nearly as
I
much.
was I was good young little Christian boy. I felt bad even saying, "Oh my God," I'd correct my fucking pastor sometimes. It was that bad. And I go into a place where they have a little more colorful sense of humor, and it was very very much a shock for me. But then I compare that to where I am now, and it's quite different.
Yeah, it's just like the motivation for the server just fluctuates so much. Uh, like
Oh, and that's the other thing. Your
like
priorities
just
change quite a lot as well.
yeah, like life priorities take over and it's crazy and it's just. But then I mean, then you come back and it's so different. I don't know. It's weird.
Oh, it's
I'm
weird coming back to
rambling.
the same place later. I mean, I remember when I first joined, which oh, actually, Tristan got back to me. Okay, I joined in 2015. It was. Now we know the
Now we
word is
know.
out.
The word is out.
Well,
Joey Coconut joined in 2015. Everybody.
bruh. I'm gonna have to change that in the wiki. Damn, I was 14 all this time. Fucking lying to all
How
you
does it feel
people.
to be a new player?
Doesn't feel any different. I don't give a shit.
I'm gonna have to call off this interview right now because you're too new for me to be on here.
Oh fuck, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Oh
cancel this interview. I'm sorry. I'm
fuck.
scrapping all 45 minutes of the footage.
Oh, but yeah, I'd have times back when I was playing then, I'd be the only one online. It didn't happen very often, but it
Yeah,
still did occasionally.
that's
And I mean, you look at
impossible
it
now.
now,
Unless there's like a restart, it's impossible.
yeah, I mean, it's impossible maybe more than a couple seconds, it just doesn't happen. I mean, I'd have times where I'd be on hours consecutively by myself. It was such a dead server. But I mean, that's what it was meant to be. It was just, an autistic shit post of a world.
And I mean, I think it'll always be that in some form, but for now,
Yeah, just
it's very different. It's a very different form for
the rule is
a very
change.
different generation of people.
And you just got to keep driving that change forward. You never know exactly where it's going to go, but it keeps things interesting.
Yes, it really does. It really just do.
But that's like after I became inactive in the server itself, I started becoming very active in the external community, and I joined a variety of smaller and middling groups. Um, there's quite a few of them. I'm not even going to bother naming them all, but I'd always try to encourage them to keep going, and I'd give them advice and stuff as a counterbalance to some of the larger ones. To keep things rolling, I guess. And I have a lot of respect for people that do damage to large groups. I despise those. It's all just a game at the end of the day, but they rub me the wrong way, and so I'd always try to encourage people to rage against the machine, right?
Yeah, always got to root for the underdog.
Mhm. But then when was this? I can't remember when Jared's Wiki was around. Actually, I mean, it still is. Obviously, it's still very much there, although it's not really very active these days. But he added me to that actually, and I was writing articles for that for quite a while. And then I hopped over and on the other wiki now. I guess I'm in both of them actually. I have no idea who the owner is because I'm drawing a blank here. Oh my god. The Light
Yeah,
Emperor, Mr. Solid Cold. That's not
yeah.
him. Wiki
I don't know.
Boy,
I
Dark
can't
Annihilator.
remember.
That's him.
Yes, Dark Annihilator. I think he's an admin in my Discord. Dark
Yeah,
Annihilator.
he seems like a pretty chill dude.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
And the wiki is an interesting exercise, I have to say. I mean, I've written most of the articles that I know about, and I just edit stuff at this point. But public service announcement: all of your grammar fucking sucks. Like, go back to fucking school, guys. You're disappointing me, man. I mean, I swear, I stopped editing articles for a while because these people can't fucking write, man.
I mean, just run it through Grammarly. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, even that, I mean, just that would go such a long way. But, people don't bother.
So now Joey Coconut spends his days proofreading Tubi Tutti Wikia. What an interesting character development.
Yep, from shit poster to shit post corrector, I guess.
Yes, I will
Oh,
correct. I will correct this. You need to be
I used to love all my shit posts, man.
yeah, be an instructor. Be like, this is what you do and this is what you do not do.
Yeah, like when I was at Mecca, I mean, I just pop on some music. I quite like Pink Floyd, so usually read them. And I
Hell,
just type out the entire album of lyrics while I'm listening to it, usually in real time. And no reason for it at all. Just felt like it, and I'd do it.
but
Because that's
those
the
are the
thing.
best kinds. Those are the best kinds right there. The ones that nobody else gets besides you. It's like
Mhm.
people get it, but like the point of it is that they don't get it. If that makes any
Honestly,
sense.
I wouldn't even really get it. I just feel like it and be like, fuck it. I don't know why, but I'm gonna do this, and it'd give me quite a lot of entertainment. The spontaneousness of it all.
Exactly. You got to stay random.
Exactly, and kind credit where credit's due. My base mates put up with a lot of shit sometimes. I mean, I had my own. They gave me my own text channel. Actually, in the second Discord, we had 3 devoted to just me shit posting. I didn't make any of these. I mean, they were just. Guess they were tired of me fucking around, and they just like, hey, put all this shit here. Fuck you, man. But that was the thing that entertained me the most. I mean, most of the time I wouldn't even really be building because I was at, most of my shit was at Mecca. I was there almost a year and a half. I mean, okay, I was in the group before that, but I was in Iron Farm base for a while. Oh, I didn't mention that, did I?
No, you did not talk about Iron Farm base. Thank you for reminding me.
How could I forget Iron Farm base?
How could you forget? How dare you?
I know I'm a failure here, man. I've failed the interview. We got to start over again. I broke chronology.
All right, welcome to the DrEnderPickles show. This is Joey Coconut. Joey Coconut, say hello.
Hello, it's me, Joey Coconut, the man.
So, Joey, what can you tell me about Iron Farm base? Is it Iron Farm base? I completely forgot. I zoned out and had a brain fart from it.
Yeah, it was Iron Farm base.
Okay, it is. Okay, great.
But it was if my memory serves me right, it was originally just it was Jared Frickin and Autism Bot basing there, and they had done a bunch of they duped a bunch of stuff there, but they found that it was close to some other shit, so they left. So then I was in the Mecha group, but I was very short on time at that point. It was sports season. I'd have a couple hours a night max. I didn't want to spend all of it on the fucking nether highways. So Autism Bot gave me the coordinates for that, and I moved there for a bit. And the idea was, we had learned from our mistakes with the earlier bases, just inviting random people. So the idea was to make it a sort of a cadet base, a proving ground, if you will, where we'd bring potential base mates there and just see if they fucked it up or not. And I was there for a bit. No one really showed up, to be honest, because it was an afterthought. It didn't really fit into our whole formula, but it was an option nonetheless. I didn't really build terribly much there. That was it was another shit posting springboard. I'd sit there auto fishing, just spamming out bullshit. But there was some quite nice builds. I believe Jared actually built what was his name? The Hall of Thieves. Don't think he ever finished it up, but it was looking quite nice when I saw it. But Iron Farm base was pretty quick. I was there maybe a month, and then
nice.
Yeah. Then one of the base mates tells me, "Hey, we have a teleportation exploit. You want to come down here?" I was like, "Sure, fuck it." So they teleported me out. Fucking next day, Parthicus comes down there and blows the whole thing up. So yeah, what are the odds? Missed it by one day.
And the rest is history.
Oh yeah.
It's my new catchphrase. Gonna make it a thing. Not actually gonna make it a thing, because that'd be super cringy. But
cringe.
Very cringy. But thank you, Joey, so much for being on. Do you have any closing remarks as we wrap up this segment of hard interrogation?
I'd just say, be mature, guys. You get so far just by acting like a full-brained individual. That's what I did. I wasn't even terribly good at many things when I started out, but I would act mature, and that's really how I got anywhere. I'd act mature, and my buddies would help me out with shit. Moving my account around and whatnot, or occasionally helping me just with getting me tools and whatnot. And it just came down to being mature. You don't ask for handouts and shit. You don't just, when to be autistic. There's a time and a place for everything, and you have to know what those are. But, act like a full-brained individual and just, it's good life advice. Fuck it, Act mature, work hard. Because, it's a game. It's 100% a game. Not everyone views it that way, of course. You know, there's always those outliers. But yeah, you know, do something, do it well, and be mature about it.
Or just spurg out completely.
Yeah, you know,
One of the two.
again, time and a place for everything. I spurg out all the time in there. Hell, I still do. But you got to know the right time because there's a time and a place for everything. And if you break with that, like, you know, it's not as good to be around you. You know, you're an autistic child, and everyone knows it. What can I say, man?
Exactly. See, I was a little autistic child, but now I just piggyback off of it. So
Yep. Hey, same thing here. Exactly. I mean, I was pretty quiet when I was younger, but you know, I was the annoying teen at the base usually.
yeah, I was the annoying little kid at the base. So
Yep. My final words: go out, change the world.
you heard it here first, folks.